Some shoe designs look incredible in sketches, on mood boards, and even in polished 3D renders, yet they still never make it to production. And that is one of the biggest misunderstandings in footwear design. Most people think a shoe fails because it does not look good enough. But in the real world, that is rarely the real reason. In reality, many designs fail because they were created to impress the eye, not survive development. They were designed as images, not as products. And that difference is exactly where footwear engineering begins. A lot of beginners approach shoe design like pure styling. They focus on silhouette, details, aggressive lines, futuristic shapes, and visual impact. And to be fair, that part matters. A shoe has to attract attention. It has to feel desirable. It has to look intentional. But the problem starts when design stops at appearance, because a shoe is not just something you look at. It is something that has to wrap the foot, hold shape, use real materials, match construction methods, meet cost targets, and survive the realities of manufacturing. The moment a sketch starts moving toward production, every weak decision begins to show. One of the first reasons many shoe designs fail is bad proportion. A concept can look dramatic in a sketch and still make no sense as a real product. The sole may be too heavy, the heel may feel unstable, the toe spring may be exaggerated, or the upper may not flow naturally around the foot. Sketches can hide these problems very easily. Perspective can make shapes feel exciting. Shadows can make forms feel believable, but once the design moves into development, the truth becomes obvious. A shoe has to feel balanced, wearable, and structurally believable, not just visually impressive. Another major reason shoe designs fail is because they ignore material behavior. Real materials are not neutral. Mesh stretches differently than leather. Foam reacts differently than rubber. Synthetic overlays, stitched panels, molded parts, and knit structures all behave in their own way. But many concepts are designed as if the surface of a shoe is one perfect skin that can do anything. That is where things start falling apart. A line that looks beautiful in a sketch may become impossible once material thickness, flexibility, bonding, stitching, and durability come into play. This is one of the biggest differences between a concept that looks cool and a product that can actually exist. Construction logic is another hidden reason so many shoe designs fail. A shoe is not one smooth shell. It is a system of components. The upper has to be divided into real parts. The sole has to be shaped with manufacturing logic in mind. Parts have to join correctly. Layers have to make sense. Openings, flex zones, reinforcements, and support areas all need a reason to exist. This is where many attractive concepts collapse because they were never designed from the inside out. They were drawn from the outside in. And experienced footwear designers know that real design starts beneath the surface. They do not just see form, they see structure. Then there is cost, which quietly kills many concepts before anyone talks about it openly. A design might look premium, original, and exciting, but if it needs too many parts, too many material changes, too many production steps, or too much tooling complexity, it quickly becomes difficult to justify. This is one of the hardest truths in product design. A successful shoe is not just a shoe people admire. It is a shoe that can survive cost pressure, factory realities, timeline limits, and commercial expectations. In other words, great footwear design is never only about beauty. It is about control. Fit is another area where failure happens fast. A shoe can look clean in side view and still perform badly on an actual foot. That is because footwear design is not flat illustration. It is anatomical. It is spatial. It depends on how the upper wraps, how the collar sits, how the instep feels, how the sole supports movement, and how the last defines the foundation of the entire product. If the fit logic is weak, the design may survive as a concept image, but it will struggle as a real shoe. And that is why footwear design is much closer to engineering than many people expect. There is also the problem of overdesign. Many concepts fail because they are trying too hard to look different. Too many lines, too many cut panels, too many aggressive moves, too many ideas fighting for attention. At first glance, this can feel exciting. But the best shoe designs usually have clarity. They know where to be bold and where to stay quiet. They feel edited. They feel controlled. A shoe that tries to do everything at once usually becomes harder to manufacture, harder to cost, harder to understand, and often harder to wear. Real maturity in design often comes from simplifying, not adding. So how do strong shoe designs actually survive the jump to production? They are designed with reality in mind from the beginning. They consider proportion, materials, construction, fit, and cost before the concept becomes too far removed from the real world. That does not mean creativity disappears. It means creativity becomes smarter. The strongest footwear designers are not the ones who only create exciting images. They are the ones who can protect the core energy of the idea while shaping it into something real, buildable, wearable, and commercially viable. That is the real difference between drawing shoes and designing shoes. One creates a visual, the other creates a product. And once you understand that, you start to see why so many shoe designs fail before production. They do not fail because imagination is useless. They fail because imagination alone is not enough. In footwear, the best ideas are not just the boldest ones. They are the ones that survive reality. If you want to think like a real footwear designer, stop asking only how to make your shoe look more exciting. Start asking how to make it more believable, more intelligent, and more buildable. Because the future of great shoe design does not belong only to people who can sketch well. It belongs to people who can turn strong concepts into real products.